Hello and welcome. This is going to be a vintage league. We're playing a new modern brew with, you know, pretty basic vintage ports. Um, it's an Emry, Jeskai Ascendancy, Urza, PO deck. There's a lot going on, but basically Jeskai Ascendancy, Emry, and Double Mox Opal, Black Lotus, Lotus Petal, a couple other things, Bobble. These kind of go infinite. And then obviously PO is an incredibly strong card with a pile of mana sources. Urza and Sai and Saheeli go together to play a kind of a fairer game where they can attack. Obviously, all those tokens play nice with Jeskai Ascendancy as well. So there's a lot going on here. We're trying to do a straight modern to vintage port right now. The big changes were like upgrades like Lotus and Petal, taking out cards like Mox Amber, trimming on lands, and then playing the PO enablers like Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Crypt, obviously the power, and adding Force of Wills. So obviously the sideboard is a bit untested as well. I just thought I'd throw in stuff for Shops, Dredge, Eldrazi, blue decks, another one for Shops, and Wasteland decks. So we'll see how it goes. I played one league with a little bit of a different configuration. It didn't go great. Went like 2-3. Pyroblast is a big problem, but hopefully we have enough high hitting blue spells where we can power through a Pyroblast. But we'll try. So this is round one. We've got pretty solid hand. Definitely would keep it. Obviously, it doesn't do very much right away, and if opponent does anything on turn one that we needed a Force of Will for, we just lose. But like Lotus Ancestral is pretty bad for us. Had a lot of opponents with Lotus Ancestral recently. I don't really know. Obviously, that's just always going to happen sometimes in Vintage, but oh man, it's been pretty brutal. Lotus Ancestral, Brainstorm, fetch away the bad cards we drew is pretty much what you want to be doing at all points in time in any deck. So for us, we have some options. We can just jam Ascendancy on turn one. We could jam Saheeli on turn one. But I'm not sure it's going to matter what we choose to do. Opponent's seen 13 cards, so yep, fetch land 2. So no bad cards. Demonic Tutor probably gets Yawgmoth's Will. It's going to be very hard for us to win, I would assume. It's almost like, do we even want to show them what we're doing? I guess if they don't have extra fast mana, it'll be hard for them to Yawg Will, but 7 cards in hand, so not even a discard. And we drew a land. I don't know if we want to even show them. Yeah, I guess we should play it out. We don't have an Emry, so it's not like if we pass the turn with Ascendancy, we can win. So I'm not sure if we should be playing Ascendancy. But we do need to find action, so we don't really want to crack our Bauble yet. Actually, if this resolves, I guess we can crack our Bauble next turn. We'll still have the mana to play Saheeli. So they pitched an Narset and forced our Jeskai Ascendancy. So I'd like to use the Bauble with a fetch land. Has a bit of a scry. It looks like opponent probably just fetched Yogwell. Wish we had a little bit of extra mana here. Unfortunately, we do not. But we could get a blue source if we bobble now. A blue like spell. Are we gonna get countered again? What's happening? Are they just gonna get dig through time? I guess they didn't get Yogwell if they're dig through timing here. So maybe they got like Force of Will with their Demonic Tutor. It's definitely possible. Obviously, I can't find a blue source, blue pitch for this dig through time because this won't draw till next turn. But all right, so does my Saheeli resolve? Not the most threatening card, so something opponent probably can let resolve. See what we have on top of our library. We have a Saheeli. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely draw that as a blue card for our Force of Will. Opponent certainly has a lot of cards in hand. Any non-creature spell gives us a servo, which turns our Opal back on anyways, so. Saheeli doesn't have the strongest energies in this deck. There's no like Time Vault or anything. Yeah, this is perfectly fine for us too. Most of the time she can like make some extra mana off a crypt or something, or her best use is of course to turn a servo into a Urza Golem, which allows you to punch in for lethal a lot sooner. You can definitely make the deck stronger for Saheeli if we can try to fit in like a top. A top ends up being pretty strong, turning your servo into a draw card. If you can fit in Time Vault, obviously, Saheeli gets a little more powerful. So we have some options. I haven't included any of those cards yet, just because I'm trying to get a feel for the shell itself and where we can, where we can't fit in cards. That's a pretty strong card for us here, though. I'm pretty happy to draw an Emry. I'm a little nervous to just be dropping my Force of Will, but I can probably just wait on Saheeli. So what we hit was we bin 2 POs, but we have 2 baubles to rebuy, so that's not too bad. I think I would rather just hold up Force of Will than play Saheeli right now. If we go to the next turn and we still have an Emry, we can just play Saheeli then. Yeah, what's up, Art? Opponent might like play Jace the Mind Sculptor here, which would pretty much like the Force of Will. Even though there is some value in replaying Emry, you kind of need her to be online. Sweet. Blue, green, black, Leovold. Yeah, I'd rather Leovold didn't hit the table if possible. A lot of our cards in our deck do draw cards, so. Alright, so we made it to our turn. At the very least, we get to rebuy a bauble, which is pretty sweet. We don't really have spells. Is there any problem with just doing this now and maybe we can draw like a PO or something? Emry is an incredibly strong Magic the Gathering card. Opponent drew Force of Vigor, which is probably really bad for us, and we're going to draw another bauble. But we can actually recover because Emry lets us replay the cards that get Force of Vigored. What we don't want to happen is our... Oh, sorry. I didn't look at us. We looked at them. What we don't want to happen is for our opponent to Force of Vigor our Jeskai Ascendancy. But they would obviously have to Force of Vigor our Jeskai Ascendancy if we play it, because that would just be infinite. Oh, that's a Tarmogoyf. So, unfortunately, before this, Jeskai Ascendancy would just be infinite, but if opponent has a green card for their Force of Vigor, that is not infinite. That's a good draw, though. I'm okay with that. Definitely down. Our opponent has mental misstep. Wonderful. Great time. Guess what? I want to play it again. Solid mental misstep. EE. Interesting. Getting rid of this clock seems great. I would love to EE here actually. Let's do it. Well, there's a reason for that, Eric, and that would be I took Kane's list and I took out the cards that were medium and I put in vintage cards. So obviously, there's a long way to go before this list makes full sense in vintage. But I mean, I started at the same point where Kane is. So if you started there too, hello? No, you didn't. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. This is the wrong number. Good luck. Oh, someone's spoofing my number. I'm okay with just trading EE for Tarmogoyf because we can rebuy our EE at any point as well with our Emry. There we go. Big wins. So is this going to be hard cast Vigor? No, this is just Jace. That's pretty unfortunate. Because that's just going to bounce Emry, I would assume. Can we? Yeah. We can actually get an EE for 4, too. Oh, man. The classic just continued to draw Mox Opals. Alright, well, I'm just going to replay it. So we binned Force of Will, Emry, Sapphire, Urza. I mean, if opponent keeps bouncing, I guess we're winning that trade. Alright, they've decided to brainstorm this time. Hello? Goodbye. It's that, like, they, like, spoof your number. So, some poor girl thought I was calling her. But, it was a telemarketer. And now I get harassed. Alright, Narset. I'm sure it finds Force of Will. Force of Negation! Wonderful. Bless. Opponent still has Force of Vigor as well. Yo, what up, Fairfield? Thanks for the follow. So, if opponent has a blue card, they can exile our engineer. Oh, never mind. They also have Assassin's Trophy. Okay. We're actually out of basics. All 4 of them are in play. So we're probably dead now. Unless we draw... I don't even know. Whatever. Fun. I mean, we're playing a lot of lands and a lot of mana, so you can definitely flood. But I mean, not a lot of lands. We're on 13 lands. But let's bring in Pyroblast and Teferi. And I'm going to... I have no idea how we're going to trim here. I have no idea how we're going to trim here. What the hell would I do to trim here? It's like cut PO. It's definitely something that's possible. I mean, I feel like... I mean, the opponent isn't on a Pyroblast deck, but they are on a Force of Vigor deck, so maybe we just want to, like, trim Ascendancy and trim an Emry. That's not exactly the case, Eric, because Petal, Ascendancy, and Emry is infinite triggers and infinite mana. So you draw to whatever. Petal's pretty good typically, but if we're cutting Ascendancy, then it's a little bit worse with Emry. Without Emry around. Probably want swords in this deck anyways, so we can control, maybe more controlling. Yeah, so Petal and Lotus are pretty big upgrades over the modern version. You don't have to play shit like Mox Amber. So there's definitely some room for that to be... What the heck? I don't think we need Eons. Have we tried? I have not tried LED yet either. No, this is only the second league that I've played. I'll just cut a bobble. If we're cutting Ascendancy, we don't really need bobbles, right? I don't know how to trim yet. I have no idea how we're supposed to trim yet. But I feel like we can become a mid-rangey token Urza deck if the opponent is not on like Pyroblast. This seems fine. Seems like a pretty value hand against a grindy deck. So like there's a lot of room. There's definitely a lot of room to tinker with it, but sure. Wow, that's now we have all kinds of options. We have all kinds of options to work with here. So I think the first thing we should do is play Lotus, play Academy, play Emry. That's true. Emry Lotus is grindy for sure. Huh. I mean, I think slow is okay in this matchup, but Bug's not really a deck anymore, so it's a little weird. At the very least, I think we start Lotus, Academy, and play an Emry, and see if opponent kills the Emry. Alright, Emry resolved. We hit Urza, PO, but we do have Lotus with Emry, which is pretty powerful. I'm inclined to float mana, blue mana, Saheeli. This resolves, then swords. Oh yeah, I mean Wishclaw is pretty nuts. I think that card's pretty strong. Obviously you need to find a shell for it, but so I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't really need this in play. Just gonna make my life easier. So I actually think the EE has looked much better than I thought it was. So maybe we want more EEs. Obviously, Kane's modern list plays 4 EEs. It's pretty hard to fit that kind of thing. But maybe we actually just want like 2 bobbles, 2 EEs. Possible that's the case. Unsure. There's a lot of room. Emry itself just seemed great, so I don't know. I don't think we actually trimmed correctly. We're gonna have to reevaluate in another if we play another game. I think we might have trimmed a little odd. What's this? Ancestral? Or like Vampiric Tutor or something? Oh, Fatal Push. Unfortunate. Well, rip the Emry. She tried her best. And Leovold. Okay, that's pretty good. So now we actually have 3 colors. Obviously, if we blow up on 3, we lose our Saheeli. But it's probably fine. I don't know. We'll have to reevaluate. We can play it on 3 now, and that stops them from... It stops them from doing... Well, we can actually just PO right away, maybe? Not right away, but pretty soon after. I don't wanna pass the turn here because they could play. Ugh. They could totally play Force of Vigor on our EE. So we lose our Saheeli, but we should be in a pretty favorable position, and maybe we can PO next turn. It's like this PO is fine. We obviously still get a ton of mana off our Academy with the 6 artifacts in play. There's a lot. We're gonna get our Academy Assassins trophied. Oh, there's the oof. We still fight through oof. Obviously, Tom was talking about the EE gets stopped by oof, which is a problem, which is why we boarded in the swords and lightning bolt. So I didn't board in the lightning bolt. Well, I probably. Oh my god, Assassin's Trophy 2. Okay. Probably should have boarded in the lightning bolt then. Well, I guess I'll get a planes in case I draw the swords to plowshares. Yeah, unfortunately, this deck suffers from the same problem that all vintage PO decks do, which is you cut lands for artifact mana. And just plays another Leovold anyways. Yeah, I definitely should have boarded in Lightning Bolt. I don't know what I was thinking to not board in Lightning Bolt, but... Oh boy. I mean, they do have to, like, have Assassin's Trophy there along with Oof, but... Graph Digger's Cage. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's okay. At least we're not getting Pyroblasted. That's the worst. I don't really think we're going to win this game. Opponent will probably draw like a Dig Through Time before we draw something that matters. Also, the problem with playing 4 Mox Opals, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've been... I mean, you have to roll with that to get your powerful starts, right? So opponent just gets to Ancestral off their Vampiric. I mean, at least they can't attack because we have just enough servos, right? No, you definitely want 4 Opal. I'm like pretty sure you want 4 Opal. In real PO, you can get away with 3 Opal, but this deck, like, you can go infinite off of Emry Opal, infinite mana off of Emry Opal, Jeskai Ascendancy if you have 2 Opals. So it's another important one to have double of. And there's 13 lands in the deck, right? So with 3 lands already in our yard, there's only 8 lands left in the deck, so pretty hard to draw a land. Instead, you draw all your mana sources that are not lands, but they have an oof, so which is why you stuff your deck with these like swords and lightning bolts and Teferis, but you have to draw them, so. Alright, so we hit a land, so we get to play the Master Thopterist. If that somehow resolves through hard cast Force of Will, we get to make 3 Thopters, which is sweet. Or we get to make 1 Thopter and then they Fatal Push it. Either way, it's going to be good for us. This is what I was saying, though. You can kind of play this, like, go wide token game, which is pretty sick. So, like, we're not 100% dead here with, you know, our fleet, which is pretty nice. And 1 more mana, and we can actually just PO all our 0 drops back anyways. Even if we can't draw cards, we can replay, get Thopters. Like, they probably still have to counter our PO if we were to draw another land, so... Actually in an okay spot. Opponent gets to do 2 damage every turn, but we should start outclassing that in the air. It's possible I want to play like one of my opals there, because 4 is a much better number than 3. That was probably pretty bad. I was probably supposed to play a 4th one there, so it's a 4-turn clock in the air. They needle our Psy, which I don't care about. I'm not going to be sacking my artifact. It's really hard to sack artifacts against a Leovold anyways. Ooh, wow, okay. So... Teferi is pretty good, as we can bounce Oof. They are going to draw a card. But we don't have to bounce right away. We can just play our Teferi and plus. Let's actually just start with the swing in the air. If they ever fetch, that fixes the clock problem that I made the mistake of not doing. I guess we're going to jam this no matter what here. It's our only play. But... we got Spell Pierced. Okay. Alright, 1 opal then. Interesting. Spell Pierce out of Bug. I haven't seen Spell Pierce in Bug, and that's pretty interesting to me. I didn't expect the Teferi to resolve anyways, so... So we should outrace this Deathrite at the moment. And we can always get another Thopter if we need to. They're going to go to 7, so it's a 3-turn clock, so it's not going to really change. What we really definitely should have done is play the Thopter on the 1st turn. But so Psy resolving was really good for us, as it let us turn all of our dead Moxen into Thopters. Also a 1/4 that they can't attack through. 2 main deck Pierces is pretty interesting. Wow, we actually drew... Okay, cool. So I'll play that out. I'll get in with my Thopters. And we'll just PO on the end of their turn, which they're going to have to counter. Or else we make too many Thopters and draw... I mean, we only draw 1 card, but that's not too big a deal. Oh, they decided to gain 2 life this time, so the clock is now different. Opponent is going Narset. Well, that doesn't really change anything for me, so Narset resolves. I could respond here so they don't grab a Force of Will, but that's... Oh, Time Walk. Time Walk is certainly annoying. But any card I draw off of PO doesn't actually matter, so I'm never going to draw a card I can cast this turn. Looks like opponent's going to gain some more life as well. They do have to beat the current Thopter army. I don't believe they would play a Plague Engineer. It's just not a card you see in Vintage. You could. But then you risk, you know, untapping and opponent. Like if we want them to be tapped out on the turn that we, you know, it then becomes our turn. So if we were to draw an Urza, they wouldn't be able to. I guess on Urza's not going to get Spell Pierced or Force, but like hard cast Force of Will. Oh, Force of Vigor, annoying. We can kill 2 Thopters. Like, the PO resolving is good, but not, you know, the end of the world great for us. It's more like making sure our opponent is tapped out when we can play an Urza. Like, this is obviously we want this, but like if we were to do it on their end of their first turn and we PO and say we resolve our PO doesn't actually matter unless Sai is in play. So if opponent then focuses their Narset or all of their energy on killing Sai, they can just kill Sai and our PO didn't do anything. So that's like another reason. So I'm going to pick up... I can just pick them all up. If opponent has another Spell Pierce, we get Spell Pierced, so be it. Opponent actually Force of Wills it, which is great for us. So now, if we untap and have an Urza, there's a higher likelihood our Urza resolves. Pyroblast. Well, we can possibly unlock drawing cards at some point. We'll kill the Narset. If they decide to use a removal spell to save a Narset for a turn, that's also fine. Put them to 10. And then I'm willing to get another Thopter into play. Obviously, the Pyroblast isn't great because they still draw a card if we do it. And we're not really getting any benefit from it. Like, killing Leovolt's actually not really helping us right now. We're not trying to draw any cards. So we can hold it for maybe their like next powerful blue spell. Chalice on 0, don't care. So our best draw is Urza by like a very large margin. Emry is not great with a cage. Oh no! I tried to hit the all button, but it didn't let me. And by didn't let me, I mean I misclicked. It's gonna make the race a little bit closer. I'm just an unfortunate misclick. I thought it was the first option, when it was clearly not the first option. Hopefully that doesn't cost us the game. That would be pretty sad. Pearl. Definitely gonna cash that in for a Thopter. We don't even get to keep it this time, though. Very sad. Don't care. Alright, so technically a 2-turn clock if Deathrite didn't exist. But opponent has only one creature in their yard. Alright, they have now have no creatures in their yard, so it's a pretty close game. These Thopters are putting in a good amount of work. Here comes a blue spell. Let's see if it's worth countering. Oh, never mind. Just an Emerald, which opponent cannot play. Is this gonna? Oh, they're gonna put it in their yard for a dig through time. Well, hopefully this Pyroblast is good enough. I'd rather opponent did not have a dig through time. F6. Looks like they've got something. Hard cast Force of Negation. Alright, well. You get a dig through time. Unfortunately, this is... I mean, I guess if it was Saheeli, it would be a ground creature, which is not as powerful, so... No Thopter for that one, as it's not an artifact. Yeah, we probably want Treasure Cruise or Dig Through Time in our deck, seeing as we're playing Emry. That's a good point, Power 9. There's a lot of cards that I want to play in this list, and there's a lot of cards that we can't fit. I'll have to come back to that, but we probably should be playing some of that as well. Didn't really think about that. Good. Alright, well. Well, we hit another Pyroblast. Which doesn't currently do anything. Opponent hit another Deathrite Shaman, which speeds up their clock. Currently, this kills them in 3 turns. We go to 8, then to 4, and then we die. So we're currently losing the race, right? So that one missed 2 damage is going to kill us. That's pretty sad. So I lost us this game by misclicking. Wow. That's really unfortunate. There's a cavern in this deck? Oh my lord. Insane. I guess this can get like a Force of Vigor, which would stop the clock as well, so. That looks like the second hard cast Force of Vigor to kill 2 Thopters. Alright, we have to draw... I don't even know. Like Time Walk or something. I guess if we draw Ancestral, I could Pyroblast Leovold. I guess I should Pyroblast Leovold no matter what. Even if opponent draws a spell. Just so I can save use as much mana as I can. This does give them another green card, another card they can make 2 life off of, but because we're not currently winning the race, it doesn't actually matter. So we need to draw something here, and obviously we did not draw something here. What did they misplay? Sure they did. Sure. I guess that doesn't change the clock either. I mean, they could also draw an Assassin's Trophy, in which case the 1 life would matter, right? I guess the 1 life's never going to matter now that I gave them 2 life by killing their Leovold. I guess we probably would not have won that game even if I had not missed the 2 damage, which is pretty sad.